In this video, we're going to talk about strumming patterns on the guitar. Strumming on the guitar is one of those weird things that kind of irons itself out over time, especially as it becomes more advanced. Your pick starts to kind of almost levitate towards the strings that it needs to hit. I know that sounds very, very weird if you're a beginner, but it's true. However, there are things that you can do in the beginning to get your strumming going. So in this video, we're going to go over some basic strumming patterns on the guitar. Now, you don't actually need to hold a chord shape if you don't want to. You could just hit the open strings. But I'm going to use the chord G just because it sounds a little bit more pleasant to whoever's watching the video. So the first step is to understand how to read a strumming pattern chart, if you like. So within the strumming, we have what's called a downstroke, where our pick attacks the strings from above and goes towards the floor. So we're coming from above and going towards the floor. And we've also got what's called an upstroke, where our pick starts at the bottom of the strings and then comes up towards the ceiling. Again, we start at the bottom of the strings and come up towards the ceiling. Now, what I'd recommend you do before you start is just have a little play with those motions. Just play with the downstrokes for a little while, play with the upstrokes, and just see how you feel. You may notice that one has more resistance than the other. Also, try to make sure that you're holding your pick in a way that feels comfortable. There is another video on how to hold your pick, so you can watch that for the way that I hold my pick. Not everybody holds theirs the same, but anyway, watch that video for that. So the way that would be represented on a diagram would be with a D for a downstroke or with a U for an upstroke. And other ways of writing it, you might see a down arrow for a downstroke or an up arrow for an upstroke. So the first strumming pattern we're going to do is just a downstroke, okay? In fact, the first few strumming patterns are all just downstrokes. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab our metronome, which is our best friend, and we're going to set it to 60 beats per minute. You can find a metronome on Google by typing in Google metronome, or there are various apps as well, which you can get a hold of, which I'll list near this video. Set it to 60 beats per minute and hit play. And in your head, you want to be counting 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And our first strumming pattern is a downstroke on beat 1 only. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you may notice my strumming hand doing this little bouncing motion, and that's perfectly okay. That's kind of me keeping myself in time, and you might find yourself doing that too. And it's actually quite a helpful thing to do. And as your strumming develops, it will have all of these little bounces in between when you're actually hitting the strings and when you're not hitting the strings as well. So it's a good thing to develop, and it helps you stay in time. So that's strumming pattern number 1, just a downstroke on the first beat of every 4 beats. Then we just simply develop that. And what we're going to do now for strumming pattern number 2 is put a downstroke on beat 1 and also on beat 3. So it's going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's our second strumming pattern there. And as you can see, we're doing twice as many downstrokes. Our third strumming pattern, if you haven't guessed it already, is we're going to do a downstroke on all 4 beats. So we're going to do a downstroke on 1, on 2, on 3, and also on 4. And it'll sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, just to give you a little advice on how long all of these strumming patterns might take, you could spend quite a lot of time, maybe a week or two, just getting comfortable with those first 3 strumming patterns. For example, you might not get them straight away. It might sound easy, but it's not necessarily really easy to do those physical motions efficiently and properly straight away. So just bear that in mind, that we are moving just through a series of exercises that are kind of designed to be separated, and probably you might actually spend 5 minutes of your practice routine doing all 3 of those, or maybe you'll spend 1 minute doing the first one, 1 minute doing the second one, 3 minutes doing the final one, which is the hardest one. So just bear that in mind when it comes to what you expect in terms of how quickly this will happen. Or you might get it straight away, who knows? Okay, so the next step for exercise number 4, we're going to move on to upstrokes. And we're going to take the same 3 patterns, but we're going to do upstrokes on all 3 of them. And it's going to sound like this. Exercise 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So as before, as we did with the downstroke, we just had an upstroke on only beat 1. Exercise number 4 has an upstroke on beat 1 and beat 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. On to exercise number 6. And this is where we put an upstroke on every single beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't be surprised if these upstrokes feel more difficult than the downstrokes, because you are doing a different hand motion. So just bear that in mind, okay? Don't worry if it's hard, and don't worry if this stuff looks like it's going to take a bit of time, because it does take a little bit of time to work. All right, we're going to move on to strumming pattern number 7 now. And this is the first one where we start to put the 2 patterns together. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, which means it's a 2-bar pattern, because every time we count to 4, we're doing a bar, and then the next 4 is another bar, and the next 4 is another bar. But in the first bar on number 1, we're going to do a downstroke, and in the second bar on number 1, we're going to do an upstroke. And that's going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, down, 2, 3, 4, up, 2, 3, 4, down, 2, 3, 4, up, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now we're starting to mix them together, and this is getting into the essence of what a lot of strumming is it's the combination of downstrokes and upstrokes. So exercise number 8, we're going to do a downstroke on beat 1 of the bar, and then we're going to do an upstroke on beat 3 of the bar. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, 2, up, 4. Down, 2, up, 4, down, 2, up, 4, down, 2, up, 4. And just to eradicate any confusion, just in case you weren't sure, whenever I was saying down, it was a beat 1, but obviously I can't say the word 1 and down at the same time. And then when I was saying the word up, it was beat 3. because I can't say the word up and big 3 at the same time. I'm sure you picked up on that anyway, but just in case. Okay, so exercise number 9 is kind of the granddaddy of basic strumming, and we simply do down, up, continuously. 1, 2, 3, 4, down, up, and that sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we go. That's our introduction to basic strumming patterns. Good luck.